great opportunity for me to speak about the program. I want to introduce, before we get into the nuts and bolts, the two gentlemen who have been my left and right arm with regard to the shared services, the Czars that were appointed by the governor, Jordan Glatt and Nick Platt, as you heard that the governor spoke about today. First gentleman is Jordan, who is vice president of special assistant at one of the colleges. The item that impressed me the most was that Jordan was a mayor for 8 years, did many, many shared services in his community of Summit. And one of the things that he brought to me when we were speaking about shared services was when he first started the program, he took a lot of heat. A lot of people jumping in his face, this is not going to work. But you know, he had the courage to stick it out. And it was successful. And he got cost savings. But you know what he told me? Nobody ever came back to him 2 years later and said, you know what, that worked great. That was a great program you came up with, Jordan. So at this point, I'd like to introduce Jordan to say a few words to the group.
So let me just start off as a mayor and going through this. I know shared services are hard. I mean, let's face it, it takes political risk to get them done. But there are a few things we've learned. You know what? I rather hold the mic because I tend to pace when I talk. And I think that comes when you're doing shared services. It's best to keep moving. But shared services are really hard. And nobody's against it, though, when you talk about it as a shared service. Right? Everybody's, yeah, we should do that. We should do more of that. But when you get to the actual shared service is when the constituents come out to to prevent that change or save what you're trying to change. But everybody tells you it'll make sense. And what I was referring to with Rick, the best shared services, nobody says great job when you're all done, but the best shared services are the ones that nobody notices that there's been a change once you are done, right? So that means that everything's running just as well as it was before, yet you're doing it more efficiently. The other thing I ask you to keep in mind is shared services isn't all about just saving money. It's delivering services more efficiently. And in a lot of cases, we've had police departments, believe it or not, that want to join with other police departments. So if you have, I see we have an officer in town, I'm afraid, and he's armed, so I got to be careful here. But if you have a police department with 8 officers, and that's it, there's the training, they don't get the same training, the ability to be promoted up and to create more responsibility is not there. But if if you become a bigger department, there's more opportunity for the individual officers. So you got to think about shared services, not just the negatives of them, but there's a lot of positives beyond just saving money. And everybody talks about, and we were talking about this earlier, that shared services are going to reduce taxes. So I've been around government long enough to know that taxes don't tend to come down even when you do a shared service. Let's be honest, okay? But what they do is allow you to free up dollars for maybe some of your wish projects, so without raising taxes. There's a tendency in government when there's money there for you, you spend it, right? I mean, let's say it the way it is. So I just want to change your perspective of some of the, I almost call them the myths of shared services. We went through, I'll use one example, we merged South Orange and Maplewood's fire departments, and it was a war. I mean, there's no other way to put it. Nick still cringes. But I think when you get through the whole thing, you'll find what made that successful is two words: trust and communication. Right? So in terms of communication, in our first meeting with the union, which again was brutal, okay, I don't want to sugarcoat this at all, but I do want to tell you we made a commitment that we would not meet or decide anything without them being in the room. All right? There's so many times there is, this feeling of the backroom deal, you've already decided, and we really tried to live by that, and that helped us through. And the other piece is communication. And that's just not with the unions and the employees, but it's also with the community. We held town halls. The mayors were very active in getting out and talking to their community, so there was no surprises. And in that case, we had firemen knocking on doors during an election, supporting the mayor's opponent, saying this is going to be a safety issue and so forth. But because the town went out and also communicated with the residents in an open way, the mayor not only won the election, but it was a landslide. So I know we all have a tendency when we're thinking about something like this to kind of go internal first. And I beg of you, for shared services, just be out there, be transparent with the stakeholders. And I've said this 1,000 times before. We have a lot of tools I think Nick and I know Rick will talk about in our toolbox for you. We have money. We have a great team of experts. We will do the studies. You don't have to pay the hundreds of thousands of dollars. The state will do the studies for free. We have tons of grant money. We have a lot of tools, but the one tool we don't have in our toolbox that only you can do, and that is courage. And shared services takes courage as an elected official. So thank you for being here. We're here all afternoon. Any questions? And thank you.
Thanks, Jordan. Now that we have the microphone in our hand, and we'll work better. Next gentleman I'd like to call up. Oh, sorry, we don't have any time for you, Nick. Nick Platt from the Morris County area, a mayor. He has some interesting stories to talk about when he proposed some shared services. He's been involved with us in the program. He's been beating the bushes for more money, more money, more money. So without further ado, Mr. Platt.
Thank you. There's not much I can add to what Jordan said, but I remember that we were appointed in 2018, and we both drove back from East Rutherford together, and we were wondering how was the governor spelling the name Czar, because it was his Czar program. And at the right after the event, we both said, history has not been kind to Czars. They always die painfully. And it was a little bit of that, but we started with $47,000. And I have to remind the commissioner of something, because we were filming a segment in her office 2 weeks ago, and there was something a story that came up, and it was when we were trying to get more money. And the commissioner interceded with the governor's office, and again, $47,000 wasn't very much, and we were looking for more grants. And she was speaking with someone, and I remembered this afternoon who it was, and it's our new temporary U.S. Senator, George Helmy, who said to the commissioner, "Tell them to stop whining." So so that when I look at the new U.S. Senator, I'm going to remember that he called us a whiner. He was actually calling Jordan a whiner, but by association, I get included in that. As Rick pointed out, when I was the mayor of Harding, I famously said one night, what difference does it make what decal is on the car that pulls you over at night? And what I was looking at is the 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. shift, where I'm in Harding, there's Madison, Chatham, Chatham Borough, and Morris Township. And, you know, they're all patrolling, and we're just all separated by a single border. And that did not go over very well. And we all know when we took this job on that the big three, it's police, fire, and schools. And those were the ones that we wanted to tackle first, but the ones that we have been least successful with, as Jordan pointed out, Maplewood and South Orange. But we do little things. I mean, we're looking at 911 dispatch, and we've had some success. But I think at this point, we keep on threatening to quit all the time. But now that we're in the final, playing the back nine, that I think we're going to see this thing all the way through to the next governor. So, thank you.
Thanks, Nick. By the way, they have a heavy salary. They make $1 a year, and they're up to 57 cents already this year. So one of the things that I like to talk about with the shared services is not only do we do shared services and cost savings, but we want to enhance the service when we put it together. We want to create some efficiencies, generate cost savings, accomplish capital improvements, which you'll see a lot of that with the LEAP grants that we have, and of course, provide some property tax savings. Shared service benefits in our program this year. Since the inception of the program, we have over 3,400 shared services on file, and we have a cost savings of $270 million. $103 million of it was from the Essex and Union counties shared jail. They saved $103 million by going into the jail program, which you'll see later on. It's a hell of an accomplishment. The grants, the local efficiency grant that the commissioner talked about earlier, the LEAP program, we have 3: challenge, implementation, and the county coordinator program that we're going to go over very quickly in the next couple of slides. The LEAP grant, we can give you up to $150,000. Think outside the box. Come up with a program. We have somebody in the audience today from Bergen County who thought about something outside the box. He came up with a medical examiner's office for 3 counties. They did this study, and the thing is going to get off the ground shortly. Unbelievable.
Hi, my name is David Mateen. I'm Assistant County Counsel for Bergen County, Office of County Counsel. In 2020, we applied for a LEAP Challenge grant to get funding to see if it would be feasible to combine the medical examiner's office with Bergen, Hudson, and Passaic County, and it kind of fell through the cracks at some point. The DCA was so accommodating by giving us extensions and making sure we have the resources we need. We finally finished the study at the end of last year, and we're in the process of finalizing the details to enter into a shared service agreement. What's amazing about the DCA is that there's money available to see if something's feasible. And if it's not feasible, hey, nothing lost. But if it is feasible, we'll also give you money to support that and to help us bring things to a conclusion. We're thankful for the DCA for giving us that opportunity, and we think it's going to be beneficial to all of us.
By the way, the lady and gentleman that are here today filming are the individuals who put all of these videos together for us today, so let's give them a round of applause. Done a great job. The LEAP program, we can give you up to $400,000 with regard to this program. You can use it for technology, equipment, startup costs, rebranding. When we did the South Orange Maplewood Fire Department, we did a rebranding on badges, signage on the side of the apparatus, uniforms, equipment and vehicles. You need a startup cost for vehicles, we can help you out with that. Professional services, rent for facilities, and of course the payroll system. Just some of the examples of what we gave out last year. The ones that I'm really impressed with, in Monmouth County, the commissioner and I met with the sheriff, who's doing a county-wide EMS program. He's going to take over the whole county and do EMS down there. Not only is he doing the EMS program, he's also doing dispatch. So he's got Shrewsbury and Allenhurst doing the dispatch program. Why not have the county do your dispatch? You're paying for it anyway in your taxes. Why pay for it twice? The other item that we came up with, as you know, Bergen County has been very, very forward with regard to some of the shared services. And they're dispatching for East, Newark, and Harrison. Here's 72 towns up in Bergen County, and they're dispatching for Hudson County. So everybody in this room knows you can dispatch any place. When you go out to LA and you talk to Los Angeles County, there are dispatch centers like 42 miles away from the police department. Person calls in a call, hey, we're in pursuit of a stolen car. Okay, very good, thank you. 42 miles away. You don't have to be like in the same building. It really works out well.
Frank Panucci, I'm the town administrator for the Point Pleasant Borough and Bayhead. We went out and got a street sweeper, split in half between two towns, win-win. Because we did that, other towns in Ocean County started doing the same thing. All of this is an icebreaker for towns. Now everybody's more comfortable talking about it. They saw the success of this one piece of equipment that snowballed into bigger conversations. These shared services are an inevitability in the state of New Jersey because that's the only way these services are going to continue on. The commissioner and her staff have made this incredibly easy process. So if you're understaffed like I am, where I have to do everything myself, or you have a great deal of staff for a bigger city, the staff here at DCA has made the whole process from start to finish easy. And then when the process is finished, you keep bringing us back to build on that success for other towns and for us as well.
What's interesting about that shared service is my team went out and we did what they call the barrier island all along Ocean County. I live in Toms River, so we wanted to, a lot of the towns were asking us for help. And while we were there talking to them about these programs, Toms River was engaging with Island Heights. They were sitting next to each other, and they started to pick up the trash that day, and they entered into a shared service agreement. I mean, some of the stuff is just amazing. And by the way, I did go to Point Pleasant to talk to that BA. It was nice. He's in Bayhead and Point Pleasant. Oh, I'm sorry, Commissioner. It's my day at work. County coordinators. One of the things that we like to talk about is trying to get the county coordinators to be on board. Guess what we don't have in Morris County? We need a Morris County shared service coordinator. The commissioner's allowed up to $75,000 for the position. The only thing you have to do is pay for their health care or fringe. If you hire a retired police officer or a firefighter, usually they already have their health care and you only end up paying the $75,000. The people that are involved in it in police and fire or even DPW, they know about shared services, so they're good candidates. Next. So this is what we have so far on file. We have Atlantic County, Bergen, Hudson, Monmouth, Passaic, Somerset, and Union.
Tim Kreischer, Shared Service Coordinator for Atlantic County Government. I'd like to encourage all the counties to hire a fellowship or coordinator for shared service. There's a multitude of responsibilities in county government, but to have one person focusing on shared services is very worthwhile. The fellowship program puts us in contact with each other. We have monthly coordinator calls that we discuss and come up with ideas collectively. The DCA, Richardella, Eileen Brennan, Lorianne Doyle is very receptive. 2 days ago we had a problem with our application for the fellowship, and I had to call her to walk me through what we needed to do to be compliant, and she did. And yesterday she called back just to follow up to make sure that we were okay. So the fellowship program, for very little cost to the county, I find it extremely beneficial.
So under the LEAP program, we've given out 120 LEAP grants applications that we received, and we've given out, as the governor said, over $18 million in funding with regard to that. One of the things that I wanted to mention was when we started this program with the commissioner, we had 5 individuals working for us in 2019. We have 19 skill set professionals on staff. As the commissioner said, we can go out and do no-cost studies at any time to help any of the municipalities out. So some of the successful shared stories, services that we have, we were in Cape May on dispatch, Riverdale. I already told you about Essex and Union County, the borough of Moonachie, Morris County Detention Center with Hudson, and the town of Hanover, and also Long Beach and Barnegat, and we're still going with some of these successful stories that we have. The inmate program that I talked about earlier with Hudson, we also have Sussex and Morris, Hunterdon, Warren, Essex, Union, Bergen, Passaic, and I think Salem, Gloucester, and Cumberland County are going to be joining also. Ever since the new bail program went into effect, and ISIS is not putting prisoners in local county lockups, the facilities are going unmanned. In fact, when we were in Essex and Union, they had 278 employees for 75 prisoners. So that's one of the reasons why they moved on. So we're very big on joint and shared courts. Just a little bit, as you can see what's going on around the state, that we're involved. And the great thing about the shared courts is the New Jersey Office of Administrative Courts, Acting Judge Grant is the one who actually is pushing this with us. So we just have to call him, tell him that we're going into a municipality, and he helps us out. He sends an AOC vicinage manager over to help us out with them. Very, very successful program. The one we wear on our sleeves is a centralized court down in Atlantic County. In fact, I was down to visit with them and Judge Blee yesterday with regard to the 10 municipalities as we're trying to get more and more towns involved. Now we're going to start with prosecutors. We're going to have the prosecutor's office prosecuting the cases, so we don't need prosecutors from the municipalities to prosecute the cases. This year, we have $6 million to give out. So everybody should take advantage of the LEAP application. It'll be coming out in the fall. And it's a well-worth program, as you can see, with some of the programs and some of the things that we've given out.
Adam Lerner, Chief Executive Officer of the South Essex Fire Department. We were two municipalities, the Township of Maplewood and the Township of South Orange, and we realized that both of our communities could provide better service if we joined together.
We're not only providing better fire service to our residents, but created a safer environment for the firemen that we had working for us.
Working with DCA has been very helpful. They were fantastic in saying, here's someone at pensions that you need to speak with. Here's someone at civil service that you can speak with. This is the perk process that we're going to be going through and all that kind of stuff. Being able to utilize those connections and help us work with the right people to get things done it's immeasurable. It would not have gone the way it went without their help, and so that was important.
One of the other programs that the governor's wearing on his sleeve is the school regionalization. Everybody knows we're having problems with the school formulas today, and I think many of the school districts can combine into a shared service program. So we are actually out there pounding the pavement to get these school regionalizations on board. We've had 4 this year, and we're hoping to get more on board. So anybody in this room that wants any help with the school regionalization, we can help you out with that. Just some of the ones we got going on was Monmouth County, Gloucester, and Warren County that are active right now. Camden County, Somerset and Morris counties we're working with, and Ocean County.
My name is Tony Vaz. I'm the mayor of Seaside Heights. During the storm of 2012, Sandy destroyed a great deal of properties, so we became part of the state transitional aid program. Through that relationship with the Department of Community Affairs, this knowledge about shared services came up, and we started thinking of initiatives that we could investigate. And the first one was a street sweeper with our neighboring community, Seaside Park. Then we did the consolidation grant for a regionalization study of our local elementary school being part of a regional school district, and that grant was approved. We have a year-round residency, then we have the part-time residents who have secondary homes in Seaside Heights. So this works out for everybody with shared services. This does work, and we become more efficient.